Hello everyone, this is Mark. This is another tutorial for digital signage. Today we're going to talk about setting up your objects, your content, on the digital asset management system. We're also going to be setting up a feed which we'll be styling with a live content object. So let's get started. I've got some files here in a folder. In Bloomington there's a little art project right now with artistic brains that have been placed all over town, and I'm going to use these pictures for my feed. So let's go to the DAM, which is at author.images.iu.edu. Normally you'll have to log in with CAS. I've saved that password so I get in right away. And we're just going to navigate down to my particular folder, which is System-Wide Offices, Public Affairs, IU Communications. We won't get into a whole lot of detail about how to navigate in the DAM. You can gain access to the digital asset management system by going to the following address on your screen. This will take you to the landing page, and you can also gain access to the wiki, which has more detailed instructions on how to use the DAM. But it's pretty straightforward. It's a large database of digital assets. We'll create a category. We'll do this by going to the Import tab and Category. Okay, so we don't have any images in here presently. Let's go ahead and import them. And you simply go to Select File, and you can navigate out to your hard drive to pick up the images that you want to use. But I've left out an important step before doing this. We don't have any title or descriptions applied to these images, and you'll want to get into the habit of doing this. So I'm going to suspend what I'm doing here and open up Adobe Bridge. And I'm going to go ahead and navigate to that folder with the brains. Okay, so here they are. Let's start meta tagging. Okay, now that we have our assets meta tagged through Adobe Bridge, and by the way, you don't have to use Adobe Bridge, you can use whatever program you want. Some people like to use Lightroom. Anything that allows you to edit the metadata for a given image or what have you. This also works for video. So let's bring these new assets into the digital asset management system. We'll right-click on the workspace, click on Import, and we'll make sure that we're using the Import tab here. And we're going to select our files. And we can range select or shift select them all and add them in one fell swoop. Now if we look at this category, we'll see that it just imported into the digital asset management system, and depending on how much activity is going on at the present time, it may take a little while for these assets to show up and to be fully digested by the DAM, so to speak. So thumbnails are still to be generated, but I've already created, it's kind of like a cooking show, I've already created some assets which I've brought into the DAM. I've meta tagged them, and these are just various buildings around campus, and I can go look at one of these. And we can see that the title and description has come in from Adobe Bridge. Let's go ahead and make our feed. Now that we know we have some good images to play with, we'll go ahead and create a feed. Now I've also already done that. This is done in the workflow area of the DAM, and clicking on this little clock symbol. And here you'll have 3 different tabs. The one we're interested in is feeds. And this IU Buildings by MK is the feed which I created from this feed demo category. Let's go to edit it and see what we have here. We have different formats we can choose, RSS 2.0. But for the purposes of the digital signage, if we use a format such as Media RSS, this will give us a lot more information to play with in our live content object. Change that. You can also choose, title, subtitle, and describe what we have here. I'm not going to do that now, but it is important if you are going to pull any meta tagging from the images which you set up previously, that you pick the actual field that's going to be used for that. In Adobe Bridge's case, as it relates to the DAM, we are associating title with the Dublin core caption and description with the Dublin core description. You have lots of different items here that you can pick from. For example, for the asset description, I could actually use something like the creator. And in the description, we would get the information that's in the creator field. That tag, that meta tag, would show up instead. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to use Dublin core description. Now, we've assigned this to our category, and you can see when I hover over here, it's assigned to the feed demo category that I've created. A good thing to note is that when you do go and assign this, all you have to do is start typing the name of the category, and it will autofill. You can hover over this selection and verify that it's the correct one. And we know it is. I'm not going to change that, though. I'll cancel that out. We'll go back to edit. This is an important thing, though. The URL is where the feed is actually located. Let's take a look at that in a browser. And here we are. Here are my images. And we have some fields to play with. Obviously, the title and description are showing, but we'll take a look at the page source, and you'll see that there's a lot of information here that we can use in our live content object. So we'll get into that a little bit later here. So this is now an RSS feed of the images I've imported into this category in the DAM. And let's start using it with some digital signs. Okay, so here we are in Content Manager, and I have my player here with a template assigned. And if we look at this object here, I've already created a live content object for our feed. In fact, let's just preview the sign real quick. And here is my region, which is playing back my feed, showing the title, the description, and actually showing the image as well. Now, if you remember, if we go back out to our browser, this is a real basic and vanilla version of the same feed, but with digital signage we can lay these out nicely and make them look pretty for our viewer. Let's take a look at the anatomy of this object. We'll right click and click on Edit Source Content. Here is our feed. Here is the URL for it. Now, 4Winds does parse this into its parameters. So basically, this URL that you see here is being parsed by 4Winds here. So we are still using the same URL. Now here's also some important settings. This is using the network location. We want it to be using the most current version of this feed, and we don't want it to be cached. In case we add some images this morning, we want them to show up right away, or as soon as possible. And with that, I should tell you, the DAM is not instantaneously updated. As I said, depending on the traffic, you may need to wait a few minutes before your images show up in your feed, or whatever assets you are adding. So this is good. We can just cancel out of this. The real fun stuff begins here in the layout. Okay, so for the purposes of this demonstration, I've taken out the background image of our template so that you can easily see the fields from the feed. Now you can see up here that Four Winds has picked up all of these fields from our feed, and the one that we're interested in really to show our image is the enclosure at URL field. It just so happens that the GUID or GUID field has the actual original asset. We don't want to use that since the image would be quite large and take time to load. We really just want to use the thumbnail or preview image, and that's what we've got here. Now, you have a lot of options with the live content object in terms of formatting. We can change the font if the font is being used. In this case, it's not. It's an image. So what we want to do is go to Formatting. And in this page, we have this option. The field contains a path or URL to an image. And then you have options for scaling behavior. I've chosen fill container while maintaining aspect ratio. What we're saying is this field contains the URL to an image. Let's display it. As you can see, I'm center aligned vertically. We can change that as well. I would like the alignment to be top center. That way our images should show up centered in this area. And then I also brought down title and description, formatted them, applied fonts, centered the alignment, and we're good to go. So now, as you can see, we have these images from our feed showing up here. It's as easy as that. Now, theoretically, I could change this to our Brains feed. Let's give that a shot. But we'll need to go out and create that feed first. So let's do that. We'll go back up to Digital Asset Management. And here we are in our feeds. I'm going to add a new one. I'm going to choose Media RSS. The title is going to be Brains MK. I'm going to do the same thing for my meta tagging, Dublin Core Caption, Dublin Core Description. And let's assign it to our Brains category. And of course, we type it partially in, and the autofill takes care of the rest. And that is correct. Let's save it. Now, if you notice, we didn't have a URL yet, so we do need to go to Edit. And here is our URL. Let's pick that up. Go back to our Content Manager. I'm going to change the URL here. I believe we don't have to worry about the parsed information. Just put it in fully like this. And we'll check it again. Yep, that's all good. And our other settings have remained. So Brain 1, Brain 2. And there we are. It's just that easy. So enjoy putting in lots of assets into the digital asset management system and serve up your digital signs without having to redeploy. Pretty nifty, huh? This is Mark with another tutorial for digital signage. Have a good one.